Have you ever asked yourself why some people seem to have everything the world says they should want? Money, influence, education, recognition, even admiration, yet they still confess that something else feels missing. It's a strange contradiction. How can a person possess everything everyone else is chasing, yet still feel empty inside? For generations, humanity has tried to answer these questions. Some have blamed poverty, others blame difficult childhood. Some believe happiness is found in relationships. Others spend their entire lives believing that the next promotion, the next business, the next house, or the next achievement will finally bring satisfaction. But history keeps exposing the same uncomfortable truth. There have been wealthy people who ended their own lives. There have been famous people who secretly battled depression. There have been brilliant minds who confessed that despite accomplishing extraordinary things, they still felt lost. So perhaps the real problem was never the absence of success. Perhaps it was the absence of purpose. Because success without purpose eventually becomes another form of exhaustion. Today I want to challenge one of the most common beliefs in our generation. Most people believe the greatest tragedy in life is death. But I don't believe in that. Death is unavoidable. Every person born into this world will one day feel that death. That isn't the tragedy. The tragedy is spending 70 or 80 years alive without ever understanding why those years were given to you at first. Thinking about that for a moment, imagine someone hands you a beautifully wrapped gift. The wrapping is elegant, the box is expensive. Everyone around you admires it. So years passed and you proudly carry this gift everywhere you go. People compliment how beautiful it looks. They envy you because they wish they had one just like it. But then one day, near the end of your life, someone asks you one simple question. What was inside the box? So then you pause because you never opened it. Wouldn't that be heartbroken? Not because the gift wasn't valuable, but because you never discovered what it contained. Many people treat life exactly this way. They spend decades decorating the outside. They improve their appearance, build careers, collect titles, earn degrees, accumulate possessions, yet they never stop long enough to ask the most important question of all. Why am I here? So notice how something interesting. Children naturally ask questions adults eventually stop asking. Why? How? Who made this? What is this for? Children are curious because curiosity is natural. Adults become busy, and busyness has a dangerous habit. It convinces us that movement is the same as progress, but they are not the same thing. A ship can move all day if it has no destination. It is simply drifting. Likewise, a person who can spend 40 years working without ever moving toward the reason they exist. The world celebrates movement. Purpose celebrates direction. Those are two completely different things. Have you ever entered a busy airport? Thousands of people are working. Announcements echo through every hallway. Flights are arriving, flights are departing. Luggage moves, employees rush from one gate to the other. From a distance, it looks like it is chaos, but it isn't. Every pilot knows where the aircraft is going before it leaves the ground. Imagine what would happen if a pilot simply started flying without deciding on a destination. The passengers might admire the smooth takeoff. They might complement the comfort of the seats. The food might even be excellent. But eventually someone would ask, where are we going? If the pilot answered, I don't know, I just enjoy flying, would you remain on that plane? Of course not, because movement without destination is dangerous. Yet millions of people accept exactly that kind of life. They wake up, go to work, return home, sleep, repeat. So years become decades. One birthday follows another. Another new year arrives. Life continues moving. But movement alone never guarantees fulfillment. Many people confuse activity with achievement. Being occupied is not the same as being effective. Being productive is not the same as being purposeful. And this confusion has become one of the greatest epidemics of modern society. We admire people because they are busy. We ask children, what do you want to become? Rarely do we ask, what problem do you hope your life will solve? Notice the difference. One question focuses on position, while the other focuses on purpose. One asks what title you want. The other asks what contribution you will make. Those are not the same conversation. Long before you earned your first salary, long before someone called you successful, long before anyone applauded your accomplishments, your life already had value. Because value is never created by applause. It exists before recognition. So think about a seed. When you hold an acorn in your hand, you don't simply see a seed. Inside that tiny shell is an entire forest waiting for the right conditions. The tree already exists in potential. It simply hasn't appeared yet. Now imagine someone who has never seen an acorn before. They throw it away because it doesn't look impressive. They see only its present form. They completely miss its future. Human beings often make the same mistake. We judge people by what they currently are instead of what they were created to become. Perhaps the greatest mistake we make is believing our current situation defines our ultimate purpose. But it doesn't. A seed buried in darkness isn't there, it's developing. And sometimes what feels like delay is actually preparation. That brings us to another important truth. Purpose is not invented. Purpose is discovered. You don't wake up one morning and randomly decide why you exist. Just as an inventor creates a product with an intention before it reaches the marketplace, your life carries meaning that is deeper than your circumstances. The challenge is that discovery requires questions, and most people are too distracted to ask these questions. Instead of asking, what was I designed for? They ask, what pays the most? Instead of asking, where can I contribute the most? They ask, what will impress people? Instead of building a meaningful life, they spend years building an impressive image. But image can never replace identity, and identity can never exist apart from purpose. This is why some of the most admired people in history privately confess that achievement alone could not satisfy the human soul, because success answers many questions, but it cannot answer the question, why was I born? And until that question is answered, every achievement eventually becomes to feel smaller than you expected. So before we go any further in this journey together, I want to leave you with one question. Not for tomorrow, not for next year, but right now. If every title you have disappeared, if every possession you own vanished, if no one remembered your achievements, who would you still be? Because the answer to that question may be the very first step toward discovering your purpose. Before we discuss purpose, we must first understand why so many people never do. This is not because purpose is hidden. It is because we spend our lives searching in the wrong places. Imagine buying the latest smartphone, It arrives in the beautiful box. Inside the box is a manual written by the manufacturer. Now imagine throwing that manual away before you ever switch the phone on. Instead of learning how it was designed to work, you decide to figure everything out by yourself. You might eventually learn how to make calls. Perhaps you will send text messages. You may even learn how to browse the internet. But chances are, years later, you will still be using only a fraction of what that phone was created to do. Not because the phone lacks the ability, but because you ignored the one source that understood it completely. Life is remarkably similar. Most people spend years asking people who are just as confused as they are, questions that only deep self-examination, wisdom, and reflection can answer. Society tells us, follow the money. Another person says, follow the passion. And someone else says, follow your heart. But very few people stop to ask, what if my purpose is greater than all of these three? Purpose is not simply about what you enjoy. There are many things people enjoy that eventually destroys them. Purpose is not simply about making money. Money is a reward. Purpose is a reason. So confusing the two has caused millions to spend their entire lives climbing mountains they never needed to climb. Have you ever noticed how many people choose careers because of pressure? Some become doctors because of family expectations. Some become lawyers because of prestige. Some become engineers because society respects the profession. Others remain in jobs they hate simply because they fear starting over. None of those reasons automatically make the work wrong. But they raise an important question. Was the decision made from conviction or from expectation? So there is a difference. Expectation comes from outside, but purpose grows from within. The danger is that if you live according to everyone else's expectations, one day you may wake up and realize you've successfully built a life that doesn't belong to you. That is one of the quietest forms of regret. You fulfilled everyone's plans except your own assignment. One of the greatest illusions of modern life is that achievement automatically produces fulfillment, but it doesn't. Achievement without alignment creates exhaustion. Think of a train. A train is one of the most powerful machines ever built. It can move hundreds of tons with remarkable efficiency, but remove it from its tracks, and suddenly all the power becomes almost useless. The engine is still strong, the fuel is still there, the wheels still turn, yet it struggles to move because it has left the environment it was designed for. Many people are like that train. They are gifted, they are intelligent, hardworking, creative, yet every day feels like a struggle, not because they lack talent, but because talent performs best when it's aligned with purpose. Another reason people miss their purpose is comparison. Comparison has stolen more dreams than failure ever has. From childhood, we are taught to compare. Who scored the highest? Who earns the most? Who owns the biggest house? Who drives the newest car? Who has the largest audience? Slowly, without realizing it, we stop asking, what was I created to do? And we begin asking, how can I become more like them? That question sounds harmless, but it quietly moves your attention away from your own assignment. Imagine an orchestra preparing for a concert. There's a violin, a piano, a trumpet, a flute, a cello. Now imagine the violin becomes jealous of the trumpet. The trumpet envies the violin. The piano wishes it were the drums. What then happens? The music disappears, not because the instruments lack ability, but because each abandons its own role. Life works the same way. Your uniqueness is not your weakness. It is your contribution. The world does not need another copy of someone else. It needs the version of you that only you can become. There's another obstacle that receives very little attention: noise. We live in the loudest generation in history. The moment we wake up, our phones demand attention. Notifications, emails, messages, news, videos, advertisements, opinions, arguments. The world is constantly telling us what to buy, what to believe, what to admire, how to dress, how to think. And after hearing everyone else's voice all day, we wonder why we struggle to hear our own voice. Purpose often speaks quietly. Distraction always shouts. You cannot discover deep answers while living in constant noise. Every greater thinker understood the importance of solitude, not because they hated people, but because clarity often arrives in silence. Some of the most important decisions in history were made far away from crowds. Purpose has a way of revealing itself when the noise finally stops. That is why many people discover themselves during seasons they originally hated. A job loss, a failed business, a painful breakup, a season of waiting. At first, these moments feel like interruptions. Later, we realize they were invitations. Sometimes life removes what has been distracting you, so you can finally pay attention to what truly matters. There's one final reason people never discover purpose: fear. Not the fear of failure, the fear of becoming who they were meant to be, because purpose always demands responsibility. It is much easier to blend into the crowd than to accept an assignment that may require courage. It is easier to imitate than create, easier to follow than lead, easier to remain comfortable than to become unnecessary. But history remembers people who accepted responsibility. Every invention, every breakthrough, every movement that changed the world began because someone stopped asking, "What is everyone else doing?" and started asking, "What am I here to contribute?" That single question has changed civilizations, and perhaps it is a strength that can change your life as well. Because the moment you stop chasing what impresses people and start pursuing what gives your life meaning, everything begins to change. Not overnight, but direction replaces confusion, conviction replaces comparison, and little by little, you stop living by accident and begin living by design. There is something fascinating about the universe. Nothing exists without a reason. The sun rises with precision. The moon follows its appointed course. The oceans know where to stop. The seasons arrive without asking anyone's permission. Seeds produce after their own kind. Gravity never forgets its assignment. Even the smallest ant appears to know exactly what it is supposed to do. But only human beings seem capable of living their entire lives while wondering why they exist. That should tell us something. Perhaps purpose is not an invention. Perhaps it is a law. And if purpose is a law, then it operates whether we understand it or not. So think about gravity. You don't have to believe in gravity for it to affect your life. You can deny it, you can ignore it, or even laugh about it. Jump from the roof of a building while insisting gravity doesn't exist. Gravity will not argue with you. It will simply continue being gravity. Truth does not need your agreement to remain true. Purpose works much the same way. You can spend your entire life ignoring why you were created. Life will continue moving. Years will continue passing. Opportunities will continue appearing and disappearing. But ignoring purpose never removes its existence. It only delays its discovery. This leads us to the first law. Law number 1. Everything created begins its purpose. Notice something remarkable. Manufacturers never build a product and then decide what it should do. The decision comes first. the product comes second. Before the architect draws the first line, the building already exists in his mind. Before the engineer assembles an engine, its function has already been determined. Before a writer begins a book, the story already has direction. Creation always follows intention, never the other way around. So now ask yourself this: if every human invention begins with intention, why would human life itself be the only exception? Many people live as though they accidentally appeared on earth, as though existence itself has no meaning beyond survival. But everything we observe in nature points in the opposite direction. Nothing exists randomly. The smallest leaf has a function. Every organ inside your body performs a unique task. Your eyes cannot hear. Your ears cannot see. Your heart cannot digest food. None of them compete with one another because every part understands its assignment. Imagine if your lungs decided they wanted to become your kidneys. The entire body would suffer, not because lungs are unimportant, but because they abandoned what only they were designed to do. This is exactly what happens when people abandon purpose in pursuit of popularity. The world applauds imitation. Nature rewards originality. There has never been another person exactly like you, not in thousands of years of recorded history. The fingerprints are different. The voice is different. The experiences are different. Even identical twins eventually become different people. That should raise another question. Why would there be billions of unique human beings if everyone was meant to live the same life? Difference is not an accident. Difference is evidence of design. Now let us consider the second law. Law number 2. Purpose determines design. This is one of the simplest truths in life, yet it explains almost everything. Have you ever wondered why birds have wings instead of fins? Why fish have fins instead of legs? Why camels survive in desert while polar bears cannot? The answer is obvious. Their design matches their assignment. Imagine criticizing a fish because it cannot climb a tree. That criticism would be ridiculous. The fish was never designed for trees. Or imagine laughing at an eagle because it cannot swim like a dolphin. Again, you will be measuring it by the wrong standard. The tragedy is that many people spend their entire lives measuring themselves against standards they were never created to meet. They feel inadequate because they are judging themselves by someone else's calling. The businessman wishes he were the musician. The musician wishes he were the athlete. The athlete envies the scientist. The scientist wants the fame of the actor. The actor secretly wishes for the peace of the farmer. Everyone envies someone else's assignment. Few stop to appreciate their own. Purpose always explains design. When you understand what something was created to do, you stop criticizing what it was never meant to become. Perhaps some of the frustrations in your life exist because you have been trying to force yourself into an environment that was never designed for you. That doesn't mean life will always feel easy. Purpose often requires hard work, but there is a difference between difficult work and unnatural work. A bird still works hard to fly, but flying agrees with its design. Now imagine asking that same bird to spend its life underwater. No amount of effort would make that natural. Effort cannot replace alignment. This brings us to law number 3. Where you are determines how well you function. A seed is a powerful thing, but put it in a polished marble floor, nothing happens. Leave it there for 10 years, it remains a seed. But now bury that exact same seed beneath the soil. Give it water, give it sunlight. Give it time. Suddenly, life begins to appear. Then the seed becomes different. No. The environment changed. Many people wrongly conclude that they have no potential. The truth may simply be that they have planted themselves in the wrong environment. Every environment can either reveal purpose or suppress it. This is why some people seem to come alive when they begin teaching, others when they start building businesses, others when they begin creating art, and others when they solve problems, others when they serve people. The gift was always there. The right environment simply gave it permission to grow. Never mistake hidden potential for absent potential. A seed hidden beneath the ground looks lifeless, yet inside an entire future is waiting. The same can be true of people. Sometimes the world overlooks them. Sometimes even they overlook themselves. But purpose does not disappear simply because it has not yet been recognized. Recognition is not what creates value. It only reveals value that was already there. The danger is that we spend so much time trying to be noticed that we forgot to become useful. And usefulness has always outlived popularity. Long after applause fades, purpose continues producing fruit. So perhaps the question is not how can I become successful? Perhaps the better question is, what was I designed to become? Because once that answer becomes clear, many of the other questions begin answering themselves. Now that we understand that purpose is not an accident, a new question naturally follows. If every human being was created with purpose, why do so many people finish life without ever discovering? The answer is simple. Every valuable thing has enemies. Gold has tears. Truth has deception. Peace has worry. Freedom has fear. And purpose has enemies that quietly work against it every single day. The most dangerous part of this is, these enemies rarely announce themselves. They don't arrive looking like destruction. They usually arrive disguised as opportunity, as comfort, as success, as approval, as security, which is why so many intelligent people become trapped by them. The first enemy is distraction. If the enemy cannot destroy your purpose, he will settle for distracting you from it. Think about a magnifying glass. When sunlight passes through it, nothing unusual happens. But the moment every ray is focused on one point, it becomes powerful enough to start a fire. The sunlight then becomes stronger. It became focused. Human potential works exactly the same way. Most people don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because their attention is scattered across too many things. Today they want to become entrepreneurs. Next month they want to become influencers. A few weeks later they decide to become traders, then real estate, then cryptocurrency, then something else. Their lives become a collection of unfinished beginnings, movement without mastery. The modern world rewards speed. Purpose rewards focus. Every yes you give to something unimportant is often a no to something that truly matters. One of the greatest disciplines you can develop is not learning how to say yes. It is learning how to say no. No to endless comparison. No to every opportunity. No to the pressure of keeping up with everyone else. Because every distraction steals time. And time is one currency you can never earn back. The second enemy is the pursuit of applause. There is something inside every human being that desires acceptance. There is nothing wrong with that. But when acceptance becomes more comfortable than authenticity, purpose begins to disappear. Many people are not living their own lives. They are performing for an invincible audience. Every decision becomes, what will people think? What will they say? What if they laugh at me? What if I fail publicly? And slowly, without realizing it, Other people's opinion become the architect of their future. Think about actors on the stage. They perform a script. When the curtain closes, they remove the costume. Imagine an actor forgetting who they really are and continuing to live as the character forever. That would be tragic. Yet many people spend decades wearing masks. The successful masks, the strong masks, the wealthy masks, the religious masks, the intelligent masks, until one day they can no longer distinguish between the role they play and the person they actually are. Purpose requires honesty. You cannot discover who you were created to be while pretending to be someone else. The third enemy is comfort. Comfort is one of the greatest inventions ever created. It allows us to recover, to rest, to heal, but comfort was never meant to become a permanent address. A ship is safest while sitting in the harbor. Nothing can damage it there. No waves, no storm, no uncertainty. But the ship was never built for the harbor. It was built for the sea. Likewise, many people spend their lives protecting themselves from risk. They avoid every challenge, every difficult conversation, every uncertain opportunity, every possibility of failure. And while they succeed in avoiding discomfort, they also avoid growth. Growth and comfort rarely live in the same room. Everything in nature understands this. Seeds must break before they grow. Muscles become stronger only after resistance. Diamonds form under pressure. Gold is refined by fire. Even an eagle teaches this lesson. When it's time for the young eagle to fly, the mother does something that appears very cruel. She removes the soft feathers from the nest. The comfortable place slowly becomes uncomfortable. Eventually, the young eagle has only two choices: remain uncomfortable forever or learn to fly. Sometimes life does exactly that. Doors close, jobs end, relationships change, plans collapse. Not every painful season is punishment. Sometimes life is removing the comfort that has been delaying your purpose. The fourth enemy is fear. Fear has destroyed more dreams than lack of ability ever could. Not because fear is powerful, but because fear is persuasive. Fear rarely says you cannot do it. Instead, it whispers, maybe next year. Wait until you are more qualified. Wait until you have more money. Wait until people believe in you. Wait until everything is perfect. The problem is, perfect conditions never arrive. Farmers understand this. If a farmer waits for the weather to become absolutely perfect before planting, the season will pass. Harvest belongs to those who are willing to plant despite uncertainty. Life works the same way. Every meaningful achievement begins before certainty exists. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is making the right decisions while fear is still speaking. There is one final enemy, perhaps the most dangerous of them all: success itself. This surprises many people. How can success become an enemy? Because success has a way of convincing us that we have arrived. It whispers, "You've done enough. Stop growing. Protect what you've built." But purpose is never static. A tree does not produce fruit once and then retire. Every season it produces again. A river does not flow one year and then decide it has contributed enough. It keeps flowing. Purpose is not an event. It is a lifetime of becoming. There are people who reached the top of their profession yet still felt restless. Not because they lacked success, but because success had become their destination instead of their tool. Success should never become your identity. It should become your opportunity to serve at a greater level. The question is never how successful can I become? The question, or the greater question, is how many lives become better because I discovered why I was created. Because at the end of life, the measure of greatness will not simply be what you accumulated. It will be what you released into the world, your gifts, your wisdom, your kindness, your influence, your courage, your contribution. Purpose has never been about becoming important. Purpose has always been about becoming useful. And history has a remarkable habit of remembering those who made themselves useful long after their names are faded from memory. By now, you may be asking the question that matters most. If purpose is real, how do I discover mine? That is the right question. But before we answer it, we need to correct a misunderstanding that has confused millions of people. Many believe purpose arrives like lightning. One dramatic moment, one voice, one unforgettable experience, and from that day forward, everything becomes perfectly clear. For a few people, life unfolds that way. But for most people, purpose is discovered the same way the sun rises. Gradually, quietly, 1 degree at a time. The tragedy is that many people are waiting for a dramatic revelation while ignoring the small clues that have been surrounding them for years. Purpose rarely begins with certainty. It usually begins with curiosity. Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed that certain problems bother you more than they bother everyone else? Some people cannot ignore poverty. Others cannot ignore broken families. Some are disturbed by poor leadership. Others are drawn toward education. Some people feel alive creating businesses. Others feel fulfilled helping strangers. Why is it that? Because your frustration often points toward your assignment. The problems that consistently move your heart are not always random. Sometimes they are invitations. Think about doctors. A doctor sees illness differently from the average person. While others see a problem, the doctors see an opportunity to heal. An engineer looks at a broken bridge and sees a design challenge. An architect looks at empty land and imagines a building. A teacher looks at an uneducated child and sees hidden potential. The world is full of problems. Purpose determines which ones you feel compelled to solve. So this leads us to the first clue. Clue number 1. Pay attention to what consistently captures your attention. Not for 1 week. Not because it is trending, but over the years. There are people who have loved fixing machines since childhood. Others have always enjoyed organizing people. Some have naturally been drawn to storytelling, others to leadership, others to solving conflicts. Purpose often leaves footprints long before it reveals itself properly. When you look backward, patterns become visible. The second clue is what work energizes you. Even when it is difficult, notice that I didn't say what work is easy. Purpose is not easy. Purpose can be exhausting. Purpose often demands sacrifice. But there is a unique difference. When you are working within your assignment, you become tired, but not empty. There's a kind of exhaustion that brings satisfaction. Ask any mother who has cared for her child through the night. She is physically exhausted, yet she would not exchange that responsibility for anything. Why? Because love changes how people experience sacrifice. Purpose does the same. A person outside their purpose becomes tired and bitter. A person inside their purpose becomes tired but fulfilled. One feels drained, the other feels invested. The activity may require the same amount of energy, but the meaning is completely different. Now let us consider another clue. What do people consistently come to you for? This is one of the most overlooked indicators of purpose. Have you noticed that people naturally assign you to certain roles? Some friends always come to one person for advice. Another friend becomes the planner. Someone else is the peacemaker. Another is the problem solver. One person always finds opportunities. Another always encourages others. This does not automatically define your purpose, but it often reveals your strength. Sometimes the world recognizes your gift before you even recognize it yourself. The danger is that we dismiss what comes naturally because it feels ordinary to us. The musician assumes everyone hears melodies. The photographer assumes everyone notices light. The writer assumes everyone thinks in stories. The leader assumes everyone naturally takes responsibility, but they don't. What feels ordinary to you may be extraordinary to someone else. So never underestimate what comes naturally. Natural ability is often the doorway to intentional mastery. However, gift alone is never enough. This is where many people make another mistake. They believe talent guarantees success, but it doesn't. A seed has tremendous potential, but potential without cultivation remains potential. A gifted singer who never practices will eventually be surpassed by an average singer who practices every day. A naturally intelligent student who refuses discipline will often be overtaken by someone less gifted but more consistent. Purpose gives direction. Discipline builds capacity. One without the other produces frustration. That is why discovering purpose is only the beginning. Developing it becomes the lifelong responsibility. Now let me share something that changed the way I think about life. Imagine you own a violin crafted by one of the history's greatest instrument makers. The wood is perfect. The craftsmanship is extraordinary. Its value is beyond measure, but you decide to store it in a damp basement for 20 years. What happens? The instrument slowly deteriorates, not because it lacked quality, but because it was neglected. Many lives never failed because they lacked potential. They failed because they neglected their development. Your purpose deserves preparation. Read, study, practice, fail, learn, improve, repeat. Never believe that passion alone will carry you. Excellence requires training. There is another truth we must accept. Purpose is bigger than personal ambition. One of the greatest questions you can ask yourself is not, what do I want from life? Instead, ask, what does life require from me? Those are two completely different questions. The first focuses on consumption. The second focuses on contribution. And history has shown us something remarkable. The people remembered longest are rarely those who accumulated the most. They are the ones who contributed the most. The teacher remembered by generations. The scientist whose discovery saved lives. The inventor who solved a problem. The parent who raised people of integrity. The mentor who changed another person's life. Purpose is not measured by fame. Purpose is measured by impact. Some of the most important people in history died without becoming celebrities, yet the fruit of their lives continues long after they are gone. Perhaps that is the greatest definition of purpose: to leave the world better than you found it, not because everyone knows your name, but because someone else's life became richer simply because you lived. So don't spend your life asking, how can I become famous? Ask instead, whose life becomes better because I discovered why I was born? Because that question has the power to transform not only your future, but the future of everyone your life touches. There's an old story that has been told in many different forms over the years. A wealthy man owned a large estate. One day he invited 3 young men to walk through this land. As they walked, he pointed to a vast field that had been untouched for years. The soil was rich. The water supply was plentiful. The climate was perfect. Everything needed for a great harvest was already there. Then he asked them a simple question. What do you see? The first young man looked across the land and said, I see hard work. The second young man looked at the same field and replied, I see risk. But the third stood silently for a long time before answering, I see what this land could become. Years later, the first man had spent his life avoiding difficult work. The second had spent his life avoiding risk. The third planted the field. The difference was never the land. The difference was the vision. Life is much the same. Every one of us has been given a field. For some, it is a family. For others, it is a business, a classroom, a community, a craft, a gift, an idea, a voice. The question is not whether you have a field. The question is, will you cultivate it? One of the saddest sights in nature is an orchard filled with trees that never bear fruit. The trees are alive, they occupy space, they consume water, their roots continue to grow, but season after season, nothing comes from them. If trees could speak, perhaps they would have many excuses. The weather wasn't perfect. The other trees grew faster. I was planted too late. My soil wasn't as rich. Yet none of those excuses will change one fact. The orchard was planted for fruit. Human life is no different. You were not placed on this earth simply to occupy space. You were placed here to produce something that did not exist before you arrived. That something may not be a company worth millions. It may not be a best-selling book. It may not be a global movement. Perhaps it is raising children who become people of integrity. Or perhaps it is solving problems in your community. Perhaps it is teaching, building, creating, healing, leading, encouraging, serving. Never confuse visibility with significance. A heart hidden inside the human body is far more important than a diamond displayed in a museum. One is admired, the other gives life. The world has taught us to chase visibility. Purpose teaches us to pursue value. There is another lesson nature quietly teaches. Have you ever noticed that fruit trees never eat their own fruit? The mango trees does not consume its own harvest. The orange trees does not survive by eating its own fruit. The apple trees does not produce apples for itself. Its fruits exist for others. That is one of the greatest laws of life. Your gift was never given only for you. Your wisdom was never given only for you. Your experiences were never given only for you. Even your pain may one day become someone else's healing. Think about the people who have changed history. Teachers, inventors, scientists, parents, mentors, writers, builders. Most of them never met the people whose lives they transformed. Yet because they choose to use what they had, generations benefited. Purpose always extends beyond the person carrying it. Now imagine that today is the final day of your life, not to create fear, but to create clarity. Imagine standing at the end of your journey, looking back over every year you were given, every opportunity, every relationship, every lesson, every failure, every victory. What would matter most? Would it be the car you drove, the number of people who followed you online, the size of your house, or would your thoughts return to something much deeper? The conversations you never had, the dreams you abandoned, the books you never wrote, the people you never forgave, the gifts you buried because you feared criticism. One day, every one of us will reach that moment. And on that day, the greatest pain will not come from the mistakes we made while trying. It will come from the possibilities we never explored because we were too afraid to begin. There is a powerful thought I want to leave with you. The richest place in the world is not a bank. It is not a gold mine. It is not an oil field. It is not a stock exchange. The richest place in the world is the cemetery. Because buried beneath the ground are businesses that were never started, books that were never written, songs that were never sung, solutions that were never discovered, inventions that remained inside someone's imagination, acts of kindness that were postponed until it was too late, lives that ended still carrying what the world desperately needed. Do not become one of them. Do not allow your greatest work to remain trapped inside your potential. Do not spend your entire life preparing without ever beginning. Do not wait for perfect conditions. Perfect conditions have never existed. The people who shape history are rarely the people who waited until they felt ready. They are the people who accepted responsibility before they felt qualified. As we conclude this first lesson, I want you to remember 6 simple truths. Purpose is greater than success. Direction is more valuable than speed. Contribution will always outlive popularity. Discipline protects purpose. Courage unlocks purpose. And every single day you wake up, you have another opportunity to become the person you were capable of becoming. So when tomorrow morning arrives, don't ask yourself, how can I make more money today? Money has its place. Instead, ask, what value can I create today? Don't ask, how can I impress people? Ask, how can I live someone's life better than I found it? Don't ask, how can I become successful? But ask, what was I created to accomplish with the life I've been given? Because when purpose becomes your pursuit, success often follows a consequence. But when success becomes your pursuit, purpose is often left behind. And finally, never measure your life only by how long you've lived. Measure it by how deeply you served, by how faithfully you developed your gifts, by how courageously you answered your calling, and by how many lives became brighter because yours existed. Thank you for spending this time with me. If this lesson challenged the way you think, then our journey is only beginning. In our next lesson, we will uncover one of the greatest misunderstandings about wealth and success. Why the world teaches people to chase money while truly valuable people spend their lives creating value first. Until then, guard your time, develop your gifts, live intentionally, and above all, don't just grow older, grow into the reason you were born.